Good afternoon. We're in the process. That's what we talk about as coaches right now. In that process, it's kind of like being on the treadmill, where you just you keep your eyes in front of you, and you just keep moving forward and moving forward to the next challenge in front of us, and that challenge is Wake Forest. We're coming off two back-to-back games on the road against two real physical football teams. It's great to be back at home, but we're playing a team that has had some time off and time certainly to study us, and they're very, very well coached. I know Dave Clausen and know the success that he's had. I'm partial to those guys that have built programs in a similar fashion that I have and have come out of the Mid-American Conference. I have a great deal of respect for him and know that his football team is well coached and will be well prepared for us. So we're just going to focus on getting better this week, improving on the things that we need to get better at, and not worrying about the noise out there about where we are, and really concentrating on how we can become championship football players. And what that means. And for us, it's the attention to detail and practice. It's the preparation. It's the work ethic. It's staying focused on the present. So we know what's in front of us with Wake Forest. They've got a young football team, but one that plays hard for 4 quarters. Quarterback tandem that can run it and throw it. Tight end that's catching a lot of footballs for them. They had some big plays against Louisville that were explosive. So again, there's a lot going on offensively. They're very, very well coached. They're trying to be very exact in what they do on the offensive side of the ball, and you can see it. It's going to be a very good offense, and can be a very good offense. They've played a lot of teams very, very close all year. Defensively, they've got some very good players. This is a very good defense, a top 40 defense in the country. I think they rank as high as in the 30s in a number of categories against the rush, efficiency on third down. Mike Elko does a great job of mixing things up, and he's got some pretty good players led by Brandon Chubb, very active, team leader in tackles. Again, a defense that will challenge us. So we've got a lot of work to do. They try to confuse the quarterback. They try to give you a lot of different looks and coverages and reads. They have a 3-down package. They primarily work out a 4-down, but when they get into 3-down, they're trying to confuse the quarterback. So we've got to do a really good job of preparing our quarterback this week, and making sure that we do a very good job of getting the ball to our playmakers. Balance is important to us. Obviously, each and every week we've got to be able to run the football, and they're very stingy against the run. Special teams is good. They got a very good kicker, punter in particular. I think he's 3rd in the country in net punting. So we've got to have an answer there as well. So senior last home game, so they get an opportunity to play here in Notre Dame Stadium for the last time, and I'm sure they're excited about that opportunity as well. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Brian, can you update us on C.J. Procise and Mike McGlinchey?
Yeah, CJ's in the next stage of the protocol for concussions, and we'll see where he is after practice today, and then we'll be able to know more about where he is.
What does the next stage mean? What does that
Activity.
mean? He passed one?
Yes. Okay. Now he's got activity, and he's got to pass that, and so each day there's a different stage and step that he has to go through. So I don't know where he'll be after today.
And when would you need him to be fully operational for you to want to use him this weekend?
Well, there's a test that he has to get through by Wednesday. So Wednesday would be probably the deadline.
And McGlinchey okay to go today?
Yes, yep.
Okay, I got more injury questions.
Let's keep going. We're on a
Okay.
roll right now.
You had mentioned Sunday about, Malik maybe throwing a little bit in a couple weeks or whatever.
Yeah, he won't be back this year.
Right.
But he's active to the point where he's out there already moving around, throwing the football, getting his arm in shape, but no, in no shape or fashion is he going to be able to compete.
Right, but any of the other group that got hurt in August or September,
Yeah.
any of those guys?
Jerron Jones is the only one, and Avery was cleared for physical activity yesterday. So Avery will be involved today in some practice activities, and Jerron is now at that stage where it's building quad and hamstring strength. We think that's going to take about anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks with him.
So is there a chance you would have him for postseason
Yes, yes, yep.
play? All right. And with your safety play on Saturday, you said, I want to enjoy the win. I don't really want to get into it. Where do you feel like that is right now with that group? Where do you stand with Max, Matthias, Shu, those guys?
I think it's similar to what I've said most of the year. I think if you take most of my comments and we kind of just boil them all down, I think we would all probably leave here saying he's looking for more consistency at that position. We get good play, and then we miss a play or two. For example, the jet sweep where our safety really should be standing at the line of scrimmage on that play. We're not. So the third down pass to the tight end in the third quarter, our safety should be all over it. Inexplicably, we're not. But yet, we're making 6, 7 plays somewhere else where our safeties are in great position. What we talked about was just trust us. Trust your keys. Trust what we're telling you to do. If it's a round peg, let's put it in the round hole. Let's not try to do more than that. And that's really where we've taken this, is that let's just pay attention to what we're coaching you to do. And if we do that, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. So just staying on that. We're doing some good things. We want to do better at that position.
With the Missouri situation, there's so many layers to it, but the one I want to ask you about is, do you talk to your players about social change? Do you encourage them to be active about that? Do you, as a coach, talk about those kind of issues here on this campus? Well,
we encourage our players to be other-centered in the sense that we want to be active within our community. Our Athletes Around the Bend program encourages our programs to be part of our community, to be out and to make a difference. And so there's difference in terms of community service and social activism. I think social activism is something that is more of a choice, where we believe that building the young man, being other-centered is a component of that, and we encourage that as part of our program and building the young men in our program. So I think they're two different things from our perspective. But we have 105 players, from different backgrounds, all over the country, different social economic backgrounds. So we know that we're going to have different points of view, and we don't want them all to be the same. So I think we have a great environment for our guys to be who they want to be on a day-to-day basis.
Coach, over here on your left, I think one of the themes this year has been guys stepping up when given the opportunity. Kizer comes in, really no drop-off. Last week, Adams, same thing, no drop-off. You've got guys like Jerry Tillery as well, younger guys playing at a high level. What allows your guys to come in and play early and be successful when given those opportunities? I mean, is it coaching? Is it the type of players you're recruiting? Maybe a little bit of both. But what's that recipe that you're seeing that's having some great success?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's in the recruiting processes that we tell the kids that, they're coming to Notre Dame and to be prepared to compete right away. And fostering that when they get here, that, they're not immediately put down on the depth chart. They're given an opportunity to compete. So they know that there's an opportunity for them to come in and actually earn an opportunity to be on the field. So I think that helps. I don't think it's necessarily something that we have done differently this year, as much as we've just had some kids that have been given the chance more this year through a number of injuries that hit areas where there was a bigger need. So I think circumstances have a lot more to do with it. But I would say that we created an environment where when we're recruiting a young man, we're really encouraging him to come here, and we give him truly an opportunity to compete as a freshman.
And who maybe are a couple other guys, maybe just not getting opportunities but are performing very well? Maybe a guy like Tristan Hodge, some younger players, Tavon Coney type of player, where just based on the depth, they aren't getting on-field opportunities, but you feel very comfortable in terms of their development.
Well, I would start with Equanimous St. Brown. I think he could play for a lot of, major BCS teams right now that are in the top in the country. I think he's an outstanding football player. He's behind one of the great ones in the country right now, and Will Fuller. I think he's ready to go. I think Nick Coleman is a really good freshman corner, that has the skill set, that can compete. He's got two veteran corners in front of him. So I think those are a couple of guys. Sean Crawford, if he doesn't, tear his knee ligament, is certainly another freshman that we would be talking. You mentioned Tristan. He's made great progress, but linemen are a little bit further from that sometimes because of the physical maturity that they need. But those are a couple of kids that I can give to you right away, because we've used a lot, including the two freshman running backs and the freshman quarterback.
Lastly, in regards to Kizer, if you look back, I guess having another chance to look at it back in Virginia when you put him in, would you think you'd be standing here at 8-1 now with the type of performance that he's put together over these 9 games now? But looking back, Virginia, all right, our starting quarterback goes down. All right, Kizer, you're in. It's a big situation. Obviously, you had to put him in. But looking back now, did you have as much confidence? I'm sure the confidence is higher now. But do you think you'd be sitting here at 8-1, the type of performance that he's put in through 9 games?
Yeah, I think when we put him in the game, we were just hoping that he knew the play, and now we're at a point where, what's the new play we're going to put in? So, yeah, I think we're clearly impressed with what he's been able to accomplish in this period of time.
Brian, you're averaging 220 yards a game rushing, 60 yards better than last year, and the best, I think, in 19 years. What do you attribute the improvement this year to? What's the biggest reason for that improvement?
I think there's a number of things. I think it always starts with a commitment to it, and then an offensive line that's working well together. The pieces are right, the right people in the right position. I think we did some things in the running game in the spring that have enhanced what we're doing with our read option game and misdirection. I just think an overhaul of that and really, looking at it from inside out and adding, obviously, for us, a more veteran approach on the offensive line. I think all those 3 things contribute to a better, rushing game.
And offensive line, 3 of the same players, and I know Nick's moved over a spot. Is it just that they mesh better because they've played together more, or what's the improvement there?
Well, McGlinchey really didn't play much at all for us last year. Q's a new starter. So you really have 2 new starters and 3 with Nick back into the right position. So if you're looking at last year to this year, you have 3 new starters in the positions that we believe that they should be in. I think that that's a big difference from last year to this year and the way they're working together. And then really, it's a different running game than it was last year relative to what we're doing.
And probably one of your better recruiting jobs last year was getting Sheldon Day and Ronnie Stanley back. Just talk about how important they've been to the success of this team.
Well, I don't know that I could actually put a quantitative number on it, but they're responsible for, so much of our success in that they are, arguably our best players and our best leaders. So when your best players are your best leaders, it changes the dynamics of everything that you do. Because they're out there in practice setting a standard, they're in the locker room setting a standard, and then they're on the field in the way they compete setting a standard. So I don't want to attribute all of it to them, but we wouldn't be here where we are right now without those 2 guys back in 2015.
And I understand every player is different, and you're going to have some players come in and talk to you about what they should do. Mm-hmm. But their success, will that be something you can point to as a reason why coming back is a good reason?
Oh, no question. Those are stories that are real to the guys that are sitting next to them in these seats. They see that, and and then they talk to them about why they actually came back and how they've enjoyed their final season here. And then we get guys that are in the NFL that are helpful, talking to them about what it's like. Tyler Eifert was at the game, Stephon Tuitt was at the game. So they can share all of that information so it doesn't become, just one voice talking to them about, hey, go make some money. They have people that they trust and know that they can now listen to and really help them make the best decision. And it starts with the players that were in the locker room with them.
You talk about avoiding the noise. This week might be a tough one with so heavily favored against a team with a losing record. Does it make it a little bit easier, though, because it's the seniors' last day? It gives you something to focus on, especially considering last year's senior day didn't go the way you wanted.
Yeah, who did we play last year on senior day? Louisville. Yeah, I don't think there's any comparisons. We don't do much of that. This group understands regardless of who the opponent is, it's still really going to come down to how they prepare this week. And if they prepare the right way and take care of what they've done over the last 9 weeks, then whether they're a 2-point favorite or a 10-point underdog, they stand a great chance of winning. And that's what they know. They know that for sure based upon what they've done this year. And so we just continue to build on it that way. And the rest of that stuff, we haven't focused on any of that during the year. So they don't really know any of that.
Brian, over Romeo Okwara's development this year, do you feel like he's playing the best football of his career? And is there anything you could point to about why things are happening for him now?
He's playing the best football, certainly. Well, when he stepped on campus, he was, 17 years old. And so as we continue to talk to NFL scouts, we tell them, look, you're just getting a kid who's just learning how to play the game. So I would say that just learning how to play the game is what we're seeing in front of ourselves. The maturation of a kid that has kept his weight for the first time. He's this is the first time that he's been close to 260 in November. He's been 240 in November. So, all of those things, understanding the game, is the maturation of that, physically maturing, keeping his weight on, and really, I think for more than anything else is really understanding the scheme in which he is in his second year now. I think all those three things coming together.
With the nickel with Torrey Is Nick Coleman not, you mentioned him earlier, is Nick Coleman not a candidate for that? Why is he not maybe a fit for what you're looking for at that position?
Well, he'd be the backup right now, so he'd be a backup in that position. It's a position that, for us, we certainly could put him in there. We think it's a lot for him, quite frankly. We'd rather have him focus on his technique and his development outside at the cornerback position in case he needs to go in the game, and we don't want to put too much on his plate.
What do you need to see from Dexter this week?
Just continue to develop on the more intricate parts of the game that maybe you don't see. We love the way he runs the ball. There's no questions about his physical ability. It's just he's got to learn more about some of the more intricate parts of the game and just keep learning. And practice at the same level each and every day. I think if he does that, he'll have a good week and play more.
Maybe a better way to phrase it, is this a very significant week for him with CJ limited, maybe more significant than...
Yeah, no question. We're counting on him having a great week. We need him to have a good week.
And this is sort of a big picture philosophical question with the playoff rankings and all that. Do you have much of a problem if one-loss teams are ranked ahead of undefeated teams from Power 5 conferences? Do you care? Is that something you feel like you're going to have to ultimately politic for later down the road?
I really don't. If I'm sitting there looking at the teams, I think, being in it now for 25 plus years, you're looking at strength of schedule, the eye test, who they played, how they played, and I think we all want to get it right, get the 4 best teams and have them play. I don't think that you can stumble more than once. I think that's where the cutoff point is. You can't be inconsistent and be really good because that can't be part of the equation. But I have no problem with one loss.
Thanks.
Being of that group.
To your right, Coach. We've talked a lot about CJ and kind of the amazing progress he's made with so little experience at the running back position, but you at that time kind of put the brakes on it as far as saying there's so much more to learn. When you put Josh Adams in and you see him on like the inside zone and just his natural downhill skill, is there more of a natural ability in Josh as a running back in those kind of schemes?
I think there's a comfort level there. I don't know if there's a natural. I think CJ has a natural ability. He doesn't have maybe a muscle memory that maybe Josh has in a sense that he does it all the time, especially as it relates to contact and how he runs through contact. CJ's working through that more. CJ wants to make you miss. Where Josh just expects, there's 2 guys on my legs, I'm running through this. So I think it's just the natural development of a running back where Josh just expects to run through a tackler or 2, and CJ's still feeling his way through that.
You had a big run off the sprint draw misdirection type play.
Yeah.
Again, that play hasn't been maybe used as much in recent years. I know with Sierra Wood,
yes,
it was very effective, especially and everything. What leads you to get back into that play?
Yeah.
Is it you have more of a running threat at quarterback, or what makes you more comfortable with running it or implement it?
Generally, when we have the ability to move the quarterback and sprint out, and when we have a fast-flowing defense, and all those things were in play on Saturday, where we have a fast-flowing defense, generally trying to come over the top and secondary contain, and moving the quarterback. We've been, trying to move the pocket a little bit more, and they start to marry themselves up a little bit better. And again, defensively, structurally, much more of a 4-down team. You don't want to get into some of those plays if they have a buck backer on the backside as an extra defender. So all those things kind of marry together.
And just expanding a little bit on Pete's question about Torrey playing, I think it still caught many by surprise that you bring somebody from offense over to that nickel, even if it's just only a few plays or so. But
Yeah.
how is the development of other players in the secondary right now, the backups such as Nick Watkins, Devin Butler, et cetera? And you've mentioned Ashton White as somebody who's developing well.
You know, we think that there's an ongoing process of development with those guys. We just didn't want to cross-train him at a position that takes reps away from them in the second team, or it takes them away from where we really may need them at corner. So as Brian and I were talking about it, our options were limited because we didn't want to continue to pull Matthias away from his job at safety to stay at the nickel position. We wanted somebody that can play more man coverage. And so Matthias does a great job there playing some of the other things. And he can play a little bit of man there, but we wanted somebody that could play a little bit more man. And so consequently it was you got to move one of your other corners in there, or is there somebody else on your roster that could do it? And I felt like Torrey could do it because he was doing a great job as a jammer for us on our punt team. So again, just spent a little time with him in individual. He didn't miss much offense at all, and felt like, you know, this was easy. We backed off some of his ST reps and really took those ST reps and just added them to defense.
And with Avery Sebastian, I know a couple weeks ago we speculated about maybe he'd be more valuable to have a sixth year next season when you're going to be losing a number of safeties.
Yeah.
Is that still maybe in the plans, or is there an urgency to get him ready for the final push here?
Well, we're gonna get him going. You know, if we need to play him because we need to win games, we're going to play him. But I'm not going to run him down on the kickoff team. You know, we would preserve his year unless he needs to go in there and start for us and help us win these last 3 games.
And just a final question. The final play of the game against Pitt,
Yeah.
was that kind of a dry run, a test run, given what happened against Michigan State, on maybe how to run out the clock with only a few seconds left?
Well, we did it back-to-back weeks.
Tempo, exactly.
We
the
just
same
didn't
thing.
execute it quite as well as we would have liked, so we made some tweaks to it. You know, we think that that's a 7-second play that we can run. You know, that for just not to have to, you know, punt the football.
Thanks.
Brian, to your left, you mentioned after the game your preparation in red zone last week and some of the things that you did try to get a better feel for it,
Yeah.
maybe a big picture look. Did you do more things like meeting-wise collectively with the entire unit? Is that what
Yes.
you were saying?
Yes.
And have you done that before, and how much will you do that in the future?
No, we hadn't done it before. What we had done is every Thursday we did our 2-minute drill. When we run our 2-minute drill, we come back together on Friday and we watch our 2-minute drill together as an entire offense. I go through the different scenarios of 2-minute, the spiking of the football, you know, getting up, handing the ball to the officials, just the nuances of 2-minute. And we've been really good in 2-minute. And I thought it's been effective as a unit. Everybody's kind of understood it, really bought into it. We've been very effective in it. And I said, well, let's do that where we're struggling a little bit. Let's try to do that as a unit as it relates to our red zone. So we just took that same kind of philosophy and applied it to the red zone on Friday. Instead of doing 2-minute, we did that with our red zone and showed all of our red zone plays, went through each one of them, talked about the nuances of the plays, how important each piece was within it, and now it looks like that worked. We'll do it again. If next week we're 0 for 4, we're not going to do it again. So it just seemed like more guys were alert and knew that play and the ramifications of each particular play.
I mean, maybe I'm stretching here, but did you find the guys had more questions when you kind of opened up the knowledge to everything that you're doing? Did that elicit more questions?
I'll give you an example. Torrey Hunter's catch. Tight window. We said, Torrey, here's where the ball is going to be. It's going to be a tight window. It's coming right off the Sam's helmet. Inside the safety, you're going to have to make a great catch. and it actually turned out that way. So I don't know if that helped, but it seems as though he made a pretty darn good catch in that situation. So just knowing that maybe, hey, I'm going to have to make a great catch here. It's not going to be one of these easy ones. We thought that was important after a deflected ball that we saw in the red zone with Will against Temple. If I did a better job of saying, Will, this is going to be a tight window. You got to be friendly on the route coming back to the quarterback. Maybe the DB doesn't get his hand in front of it. So we just wanted to communicate it better.
You had mentioned when Kizer entered the lineup for you that you felt you could win with him, but you wanted to be able to win a national title with him.
Yeah.
Is he there yet? How close? How far has he come in bridging that gap?
I'll tell you what. If we continue to support him, nobody can do it on their own, obviously, but you can envision him being your quarterback in the national championship game, provided all the other pieces. We have to have a very good running game. Our offensive line has to do their job, and everybody else on defense. We have to contribute, obviously, in all the other areas, but there is no reason why he can't be on the field in the national championship game as your quarterback and say, this group's got a fighting chance.
6 of your 12 regular season opponents have or will have extra time to prepare for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure that isn't a coincidence.
No.
Were you aware that was going to happen? Did the ACC? I mean, it's all. There's a natural assumption that's the backlash for you not being a full member of the ACC. Okay, well, you have extra. Your opponent will have extra time prepared for you.
Right. So, I think from our standpoint. We just control our deal and do what we need to do because, we look at our bye week and I don't know that you get that much of a benefit from a preparation standpoint as much as it's just a mental break at this time of the season. All these teams are dealing with a mental break. Yeah, there is a little bit of a physical break, but let me tell you, we were more sore coming back from break because they take that week off and then you practice the heck out of them. We get a report on soreness and mood and fatigue, and they put it on my desk and it's like all red, which is bad. I'm like, we just had the week off. So, there's pluses and minuses to it. I don't know if it nets one way or the other, but it just seems to have worked the other way.
Do you have reason to anticipate that in the future it will be a similar situation as far as opponents' preparation time?
I have no idea. I mean, Chad Klunder handles all that stuff, so I'd give him a call. His number, no, just kidding. Yeah, let's bring him down here.
Is he up there? I'm sure he'd be happy to take my call.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
Brian, up here, talking to players, they say Sheldon's impact this year has been to kind of bring the defensive line together, and that's maybe where he's made the biggest impact. Is there a tangible way that you can see a defensive line playing together, under one guy as kind of a tangible impact on Saturdays of that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that it's always about the morale of the group, and morale starts with a shared philosophy of how they're going to work at practice every day. What's acceptable to the way you're going to practice, and when your best player is the guy that's leading that charge, it sets the tone, and the morale then is built off of that. When some of your better players are not practicing to that level, it creates issues. And Coach Gilmore doesn't allow it, and Sheldon doesn't allow it, and hence it's created a great situation that carries itself into the games.
I think that kind of feeds into my next question. When your best leaders are also your best players, your best practicers, going into a November situation like you guys are in right now, what can that do for a team?
Well, it gives you great resolve that they're difficult to beat because they've invested so much. They've invested on the practice field. They've invested in the weight room. They were in here this morning at 7 a.m., 65 of them lifting weights. Why are you here at 7 a.m. in November? You've invested. And they want to get the benefits of that investment, and that's winning football games. So I think that's probably more than anything else why you feel good when you have that kind of leadership from your seniors and your leaders, that they avoid the noise. They want to win badly. They want to win. When your players want to win as bad as your coaches, that's a good thing. When your coach wants it more than they do, that's never been a good thing for me.
Thanks.
Brian, senior day, as you mentioned, this is a senior class that you've been able to see through from recruiting them all the way till now. How would you evaluate them?
I would evaluate them in a sense that they've been part of some great successes and have built this program back to national prominence. And that is a great feat that they should feel, great about. And I know they do. That's why they came here. And so, they're also representing Notre Dame and on a day-to-day basis. And I know they'll be able to take all of that with them when they leave here.
It's feasible it could also be the final home game for both Jalen and Will. Have you had any conversations with them regarding next year?
No, we talk about that stuff at the end of the season. Yeah.
And finally, you talked about Dave Clawson and his MAC roots. I want to go a little deeper than that. How do you explain two guys from liberal arts schools in Massachusetts becoming Power 5 head coaches?
Well, I think it just says a lot about the educational institutions, that we were not that smart. There were a lot more smarter guys coming out of those schools than we were. So we got football coaching jobs. All those other guys are making better decisions in their lives.
Better decisions, but not better money.
I didn't say that. I almost did.
Brian, I was wondering, have you coached brothers who have the leadership ability and the playing ability that Nick and Zach Martin do?
Boy, I've coached so many brothers. I would say that they rank up there with the best that I've ever coached, no question. And they're different now. I know everybody, tends to group brothers together. I've had twins that are totally different. These guys are different, both of them, and they lead differently. Zach was loud. You knew when Zach had something to say, he said it. Nick is not quite as loud, but he gets his point across, and he does it very effectively. So, but they're great leaders.
How much of a help was Zach when Nick was kind of just, when he was an underclassman, when he was getting into the lineup and everything, and how much of the leadership ability do you think Nick took from Zach?
They're the best of friends. Those two. One of Zach's primary reasons for coming back was to be with his brother and to play alongside him. So their relationship is so strong as brothers. I think that's probably as impressive as their leadership is the relationship that the two have.
And this senior class, when they were freshmen, they got to the national title game and obviously didn't finish it off. Is that something you might talk to them about at all, saying now you have a chance to kind of reach that goal and finish it?
No, you can.
Okay, I will.
You'll get them in a day or so.
Brian, in the first half against Pittsburgh, there was a lot of yardage that doesn't appear in a stat sheet. Punted really well, covered kicks really well. Almost broke a couple. It seemed like it was a pretty good week for special teams.
Yeah, we did. I think we talked about Tyler not having a very good week punting the football against Temple. He had some mechanical issues in terms of his drop. He was, bringing the ball back in, and we since we started spot filming our kickers, it's been invaluable. I don't know why I didn't do it 20 years ago. But, we picked up a flaw in his drop, and we were able to really concentrate on his drop and straighten that out. And he was big. I think there was one moment in the game where he flipped field position. I thought it was a big moment in the game. And, outside of, the wind was gusty, he kicked one out of bounds, but he was on. CJ continues to be aggressive now, fielding punts and being very active and trying to find lanes to run the ball and kickoffs and punts. And Justin's been really, really solid. So we're pleased with where we are special teams wise. We're going to get challenged this week. We'll have to continue to stay on top of things.
When you look at a player like Torrey being able to go over and help you on defense, there really aren't too many guys that are exceptional athletes in high school that couldn't play both sides, and most of them did, or some of them did, or have other skills. When you're recruiting, do you make special notes of those kind of situations if we need to? Guy might go from being a tight end to a strong tackle, that type of thing?
Well, within our general approach to recruiting, we have, categories. We have big skill players, and we have skill players, and then we have power players. And so within that general category, we'll look at that skill player and say, look, he's a guy that could play on either side of the ball. And then we'll figure it out when they get here. So those are normal conversations with players that we recruit. They may be right now playing a particular position in high school, but if we say skill, we're recruiting them as a skill player, and they could play on either side of the ball. If we say big skill, they could be a tight end, they could be a linebacker, they could play a number of different positions there as well. So we stay a little bit more general in the recruiting process so we can address those needs.
As many high school teams as you get to see, power teams around the country, we've got a game here in town this week with Penn and Carmel.
Yeah.
But really, you put some of the elite teams, Culver Academy in there?
Culver's playing for a sectional championship as well, yes. They've done a great job this year. Pretty proud of what they've been able to accomplish. So we'll see how that pans out. But, obviously Penn's done a great job year in and year out. Coach has done an incredible job of consistent performance. I think they've got one loss this year to Orchard Lake St. Mary's, a great team in Michigan, and on a very, very rainy day. So I keep up on all those high schools, the local teams, and it's good high school football around here. I think we've got Marion playing. I think St. Joe's is playing. Mishawaka's playing, so we've got a number of teams in the area that are playing. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
How'd I do, Al? Not bad.
Except they're playing for a regional championship at Culver. You better get that one right.
This is a regional? This is regional. God, dog it. Andy Durrell, he'll call me up. Andy, sorry, Andy.
Sticking with recruiting, when you look at your 2017 class, obviously you can't speak to specifics, but at this stage you guys are really, I think, further along than where you've been in the past. Do you think that's a product of an accelerated recruiting process or something you guys are changing in philosophies?
Accelerated recruiting process, and I think, we restructured our recruiting office about 15 months ago, and in that restructuring we had some personnel changes, and I think those changes now over the last 8 months I think have really taken hold and have allowed us to really gain the traction. So we had some turnover and some changes, but philosophically we needed to really gain the traction that we wanted to with some consistency. And right now we're in a very good place in our recruiting office. I love the personnel that's in place. I love the people that we have there. They're doing a terrific job. Aaron and Jazz in that office are terrific, and Mike Elston, that group, and all three of them are doing a terrific job. And I think just having some continuity in that, I I think they're doing a great job. Luke in our graphic arts is doing a terrific job. We've just got a great team, to answer your question, that is now in place long enough that has allowed us to really start to make the inroads that we needed to make.
I think back in the spring, you said you guys had talked about maybe doing some satellite camps. And if you look at that 2017 class, again, you can't speak on specifics, but geographically, when it's kids from all over the country and they all happen to be at your big recruiting event, is that the kind of success or hit rate you're looking to get from those summer camp circuits?
Well, yes and no. I think we're all pretty clear that the satellite camps are a hot button topic right now. It's legislation that's pending that will be a big topic of conversation. So we're not relying strictly on satellite camps as much as, we're out on the road, we're across the country recruiting with an eye towards if we can get to a satellite camp, that sanction will be there. But we think that what we have to do is we got to be on the road. And we've got to be all over the country and in bye weeks, and we got to be at high school games, and we got to do those kinds of things more so than the satellite camps, because we don't know where that's going to end up here over the next legislative cycle.
All right. Thank you, everybody.